Welcome to the podcast, From One Mother of an Addict to Another. This is a space of sharing heartfelt personal experiences, insightful thoughts, and powerful suggestions, which can hopefully assist and offer strength navigating your journey alongside a loved one facing addiction and mental illness.
Hi, welcome to the podcast episode, When Helping Hurts. Parenting a 27-year-old struggling to launch. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 27-year-old. It could be a 40-year-old. It could be your own husband that lost his job and now 5 years later still can't find the right job. Nothing seems to be working. They're stuck in their way. They're stuck in their head. They're too ashamed to take a job that might feel below them. And this can be any age. But when it comes to mental health and addiction or staying sober and first getting out there to launch again, and you're home and you don't know where to turn, that's a whole other scenario. So let's talk about this. Kids at home and they get up late and to you, it doesn't feel like they're trying to do anything. They're not trying to find a job because you're not seeing them or they're not talking to you about exactly what they're doing or not doing. So because you don't have control over that, it's bothering you and affecting you and it's hurting you because you feel like you've done everything or you're doing everything you can for them and they're just not doing all they can do for themselves. So that could be one thing that's really hurting. On the other hand is, why are you hurting? This is nothing to do with you. Now, if you're enabling, which would mean they're home and in the summertime they're playing golf or playing tennis, they're meeting up with friends and they're really doing things during the day that are not productive or on their way to getting a job. Anyone could go to a store and try to get a job today. You walk in, you ask, sometimes they'll say, oh, go online, fill out an application. That's one thing. But of course, those are never enough. Those kind of jobs are belittling to certain people, and they're not going to want those. So they'd rather stay home and use what they have at home until that one particular perfect job comes along. It's like that perfect partner comes along and with all their details of exactly what they want. Well, that's not true in a job, and that's not true with people or in relationships. So we know that. But people are young enough at a certain age, they're not going to realize that because they haven't experienced it enough. So how do we get out of this cycle? How do we get our kid out of the house, independent, and on their way to whatever that life looks like for them? For someone that has mental illness, has struggled with addiction or gambling, or is still in recovery, short period of time, not a long period of time. You're looking after them, you're giving them a break because they just got out of rehab, or they just broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to put too much pressure on them. Maybe they can't handle it. All these factors come into play. Now, you can make 100 excuses for why your kid is still at home, or why you let them come back home after rehab or after college, or why you didn't suggest that they move on with their life, live closer, have roommates, but not move back into the home. Now, if it's financial and they have jobs and they want to save money and they have goals and all these things, that's a whole different story. But if they're sleeping till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they barely come out of their room and they barely speak to anyone in the family, you have no idea what they're doing on a daily basis, yeah, that's a problem. And that, the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. And the reason why I say that is because you see, what's going to happen is that you start getting angry, and that's portrayed because you can't hide your anger from people. You can't show sympathy and at the same time act like you're not upset that they're not doing things to enhance their life. Now, maybe they're not capable, and there are people that aren't capable of doing this, moving on to the next step of their life. And that could be frustrating for people, parents, so to speak, family members that are just watching their siblings or their friends sit there and not move on with their lives. They could offer them jobs. They could give them suggestions. What do you think that's going to do? You as a parent sit there. Oh, why don't you just go get work for them? Oh, I got you an interview. You can't do it for them. You just can't, although you want to. You want to make it happen, right? Because again, you think you could solve this. I was the same way. Just like you could solve their addiction or them staying sober, making the right choices. If you just watch them, if you're just on top of them, if you just make excuses for them or take that route or do things before they get to it so it makes it a little easier for them. Nope, makes it worse. Makes them get back in their shell because it makes them feel like they're not capable because you've just got yourself in there. Oh, but we decided we'll help you start a job. We'll help you start a business. Really? Okay, well, that's not going to help anyone. Now, what I've learned and what I'm going to share with you today and through experiences, through other people, there are some things to do that can be effective. Number one is write down on a sheet of paper and look at it every single morning that no matter what you do or say, nothing is going to change for your kid. Nothing, absolutely nothing. You cannot solve this. You cannot change it. And you're the last person, unfortunately, they want to speak to or hear from. I know it sucks and it's heartening and it's sad and how could they not want to listen to you? You know nothing. And if you say one thing, they want to do the opposite. It's just defiant behavior. It's making them feel, if they come at you, it's not that it makes them feel better, but they're frustrated and they're angry. They're angry that they're in this situation. And it's hard to explain how to do certain things, how to get out of it, how they're feeling, how they feel helpless, and they know they need help, but unable to ask for it, unable to take advice, because that would mean that they're not as smart as other people, although they're probably very smart, way too smart, and over capable of doing many things. So here's how you could break it down. Just a suggestion. Again, I'm not a therapist. These are all through experiences, myself as well as others around me. Now, okay. Number one, I would put together a list with your kid. Say, hey, listen, I read this article. Maybe you want to just sit down with me a couple of minutes and do a couple of things. Because I was thinking about, look, you're obviously stuck. I mean, you don't need to lie about it or make up excuses. Oh, honey, come here and let's think about this. Oh, of course it's not for you, but maybe it is for you. Just be blunt, okay? I know I can't help you. But I thought maybe we could do this exercise together. And then maybe you could get either a coach or maybe you could do this yourself and figure this out. But sometimes, I know I can't do it, your father can't do it, your siblings can't do it. You have to want it. And if you don't want it, that's another story as well. And we need to get to that point because I can't see you in your room anymore until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not healthy and it's not helpful and it's not healthy for this home. So that can't go on anymore. So I say like this, you're living under my roof. We're going to follow my rules right now. I got one rule. You sit with me right now and let's do this exercise together. And then you're going to take this exercise. And here's a number of a couple of coaches I found online. Really doesn't matter who you go with. Be upfront with you. Or it could be a distant friend or a friend of a friend or someone that wants to do your family a favor if you don't have the money to spend, like $100 an hour or $125 an hour to help someone or get a coach for them. It is very helpful if you get a coach, someone that's more their age, that's maybe experienced this before, which is why organizations are helpful, calling them, finding out if there are any people that give their time and to doing this and supporting others that have experienced this setback in their lives, which is, doesn't mean their life is over. Okay, 27, 30, 40, you have plenty of years to live. It doesn't matter if you're 50 years old, lost your job, and haven't been working for 4 years and you're stuck. Okay, well, that doesn't mean your life's over. Okay, and if they're acting that way, then they need help. Okay, that's where help comes in. So you sit down and you start making some lists with this family member, your kid, your husband, yourself, whoever it is that needs this help. Figure out a list right then and there. What are the things that that you enjoy doing? What do you like to do? Do you like to draw? Do you like to play music? Do you like to help others? Do you like to drive? Do you like to travel? Whatever it is, write it down. The next list is what you're good at. Remember, two totally different things. What you like and what you're good at can be miles apart. I'm really good at sales, but I don't like selling. I feel uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable to ask someone if they want to buy something. But on the other hand, I seem to have been very good and able to get over those humps through the years. But I just don't feel as confident as I did when I was younger. Okay. Now, what else are you good at? Okay, I'm good at playing tennis. I can hit a good golf ball. I'm good at helping my friends write papers for school. I'm good at studying for large exams. I don't know why, but I was always good at test taking, okay? I love English. I love reading. I don't love it. I mean, I'm good at it. Remember, that would be on your I like list. So make sure that they're really kept aside. I love gardening is different than I'm good when I go out with my hands. I'm very handy around the house. I don't love planting, so to speak, but I'm very good at, for some reason, I know about plants and I know about which ones die, which ones don't, which ones are going to look good architecturally. I'm very good at that. Okay, there we go. Now take those lists and talk about them. And think about things, narrow it down, okay? I love playing my guitar. Okay, there we go. I love playing my guitar. Now, what can you match that with on the other list? Maybe on the list is I'm good at managing a store, managing people, okay? Maybe that would be then, okay, maybe this is something you should get involved in. Maybe you should go to your local music store because guess what? Music stores, you need someone in-house, okay? You could buy stuff online, but they usually give classes. Maybe you could offer some services there and do classes as well. Try to bring the I like and I'm good at together. Now, when someone has like ADD or they are all over the place, mania, they're going to need someone to bring this, to make it a little smaller for them. You know, especially, when you have mental illness and you have bipolar, even though if you're on meds, you could be down about yourself. You might not even see good things in yourself. Maybe that's why sitting there and talking to the person and talking it out and thinking about things that they like and drawing it out of them. Don't tell them, oh, well, you play tennis all summer. So, I mean, seriously, why don't you just go to the pro shop and ask them to work there? That's not going to help. I mean, you'd like it to help, and you'd like them to make those decisions on their own because it would be a great start. But they don't need you to say that, because if they haven't thought about that, then they haven't really thought about working or doing anything for themselves. Low self-esteem comes into play. They're not going to hire me anyway. Those are all the things that are coming through their mind. Now, you would be saying, that's ridiculous. You're so smart. You have so much to offer. What are you talking about? Listen, keep it to yourself, because when you say that, it doesn't make anything better. And that's why us as parents need to stay out of this conversation as much as possible. It's just at the beginning, having that conversation. Look, you live under this roof, and we can't cope anymore as your parents. It hurts us. It bothers us to see you sleep till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when our days, your father and I's days, have been going on. All the things we've been doing during the day, and you're still sleeping. It's very hard to see that, and it's hard to live with someone like that. So we would like to work on what the next steps are. Have you thought about it? I mean, these are all things that you could discuss. Now, do not come in with an attitude like I just said. Well, seriously, you're going to play golf this summer anyway. Why don't you just ask if you could give golf lessons? Whatever it's going to be. You see what I say? It's very hard for us as parents, and I know, to keep the attitude out of it. We're not smarter than them. We are not. They're very manipulative people. And they're just low self-esteem. And especially since they're down about, let's think about this, all their friends, the people they know in their lives, maybe they're accomplished, way ahead of them. Maybe they went on to grad schools. And look where they are now. They're still not even graduated from college, maybe. Which today, who cares? I mean, seriously, you could accomplish so much without necessarily going to college. So that shouldn't be such a big play. But what about taking classes online? Going into AI, learning something new? Maybe pointing out, hey, I started taking a class, an AI class online. I was thinking about you, and you're so good with this stuff. I don't know. Maybe you want to try it. It's not graded, so to speak, but you get a certificate. And maybe this is something that you'd want to get into. Or, even saying, hey, I thought about it. You've never really set up a website. You've never really done these kind of things online. Do you want me to sit with you and work on it? Because I've done that. Or I've opened a store online, or I've done something that maybe you want to do and have your own and have your own products, or what about having your own podcast? Even if nobody listens, or your YouTube video. Okay, put together a YouTube channel. Not about selling. Maybe it's just talking to other people that are in the same boat as you. You don't even have to show your face. Make a video with an anonymous person, or just speak and talk about what it feels like to be in this situation. Write a book if you're good at writing. These are the things that need to be brought out in someone. And unfortunately, it's so freaking frustrating that we can't just get them to do it. But they have to be able to take that next step. And and we know you can't do it as a parent, right? We can't do it. So your only option is to get someone that has nothing to do with the family. Basically, maybe but your kid doesn't know. So maybe they'll be wanting to get involved. Maybe they said they'd volunteer their services to do this. And maybe do something like that to start off and see how that goes to get that process going. Now, I know some people that have hired and spent all the money in the world to get their kid to move on. Kid is still not out of the house. Still being enabled. And you know what? They fool themselves, but it's true. And as much as they want things to work every time they start something new, it doesn't seem to go. And part of the reason is because they give their kid ultimatums and then they don't follow through. Okay, I'll raise my hand. Done it many times in the past. Many times. I'm going to set you up with this apartment, but you need to get a job. Well, I don't know what I was thinking, but if they've never had a job before, or maybe they had a job for a day or two, what makes me think that I'm going to set them up in an apartment and I should believe that they're going to go get a job and the responsibilities of their entire living will not be on me still. Okay. Well, we fool ourselves. We do. We fool ourselves as parents. We wanted to believe that they'll be independent, but they're not. So guess what? No problem. You need to go on disability. Figure out how you're going to get disability. Go get on disability. Go to a doctor, have them diagnose you, get your meds, and go on disability. Because if you can't work, then that's where you need to be. Anyway, these are the options that you have, which are not many. And at the end of the day, it's okay. Again, you're living under my house and in my rules. These are the rules. This is what you're going to do. And you need to stick to it. Not like, oh, honey, what do you want for dinner tonight? Oh, really? Oh, we're going on vacation. You're coming? Really? Listen, we're going to renovate the house and do some renovating in some of the rooms. So you're going to have to stay on one side of the house and make sure that, but we'll make sure, don't worry, that that's clean, that side of the house, and you won't have a problem. Really? What about, we need you to oversee some things while we're renovating. I don't care how much money you have or who you hired. That should be their responsibility. Listen, we got to pack up the house. We got to pack up this side of the house and put all these things in storage while they're doing the work. Oh, really? So you're just going to hire people and he's going to just watch these people come in and out of your house? I mean, come on. Dinner's ready. Your clothes are ready. No, not even they're ready. It's just assumed they're going to be back in his drawers and he has to do nothing. I would never leave the house either. These are all things that have to be considered. And actually, they are so hard because all we want as parents is to make it easy for our kids. That's the generation we were, right? We were. And the problem is that we made it harder, especially for kids that can't launch, have mental illness, very much more dependent mentally and psychologically on, with one of the parents or both the parents or the family, and has low self-esteem. And it's going to take a lot of work, and it's a new year, and you need to work on it just as much as the person living in your house that is still not launching. So it's both of you. And until you both work on it, on your own issues, it's not going to work. But if you can't do it, and you find that you've put in time and it's just hard for you to make those little changes that could possibly assist your failure to launch, to leave the house, then you need to bring in the reserves. You need to bring in people. You need to bring in someone that nobody knows. And they take this over completely. And you know what they'll do? They'll set those rules real fast. They will set those rules and they will be able to say no. No. Because after a while, if someone doesn't have a single dollar, no car, no way to get around, no Uber, oh yeah, let's, the credit card, none of that stuff, then they're going to have to move on, right? It's impossible because they still want to do the things they want to do. They still want to order in. They still want to be able to go places on their own, or even if they don't have friends, or if they have friends, they meet up with people. They are not going to want to give up those things. And when you start cutting into those things, then they wake up. Oh, they wake up fast. But wait a minute, I don't have a job. How am I going to get around? Oh, well, you get the job, then worry about it. But until then, no. That is where you have to be. Or there are plenty of things you could do online. You don't need to go anywhere. Walk. These are the steps that need to be taken. And again, if you can't do it, someone else has to step in. It's hard. I tried to do it for years. I made so many mistakes. But I see people still making these errors. Listen, I ain't judging anybody because I'm the first person to say, raising my hand here, I did it too, over and over and over again. And it's until you get to that place which you get in and out of enabling. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's just through the years that will happen. Until one day, something's going to happen to set you off. And you will be able to say no. And until that day, which could be a very long time or never, you need help in this situation. And again, you need to remind yourself, I can't do this. I can't help this situation. I can't solve it. I can't want something more than someone else. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It's sad. It's sad that we can't help. It's sad that they don't want our advice. It's sad that when we tell them something, they take it as if we're putting them down, that they've disappointed us. And no matter how we say it, that's how they're taking it. And let's face it, in a way they have disappointed us. What do you mean? We've done so much for you. We made those decisions to do so much for you. Look at the decisions you made. Look at that. It's like you slapped us in the face. Yep, and they know that. They know it. So that doesn't make anybody feel better on any level. Because we don't want them to feel bad. We don't want to make them feel bad. But then in turn, we do make them feel bad. And then who wants to talk to someone that makes them feel bad? These are the things you have to consider. These are the things you have to look at. And you got to step back and realize that also, if you're going to speak to someone and have attitude, step aside. Do not do it. Okay? Set the rules down so you're not saying no if you can't do it when the time comes. Hey, Mom, can I go? Why? I thought we had this discussion. Why don't you look at your rule book? You live under this house. These are the rules. You're not using one of these cars. No, there are no cars here for you. Why are you asking me? Why are you asking me? It makes me feel bad when you ask me because you know you are manipulative and you can manipulate me. And I don't want to feel manipulated. And I don't want to be manipulated. And it's hard for me to say no. You could be honest. I wish I was more honest like that because then it's like calling someone out on something. So maybe next time they won't do it again. Like my son was so great at being manipulative to me. Like he would be able to, oh, but I have no food and you know how much pizza, it makes me so happy and it makes me feel better. And then I promise you I won't ask you again. I promise you it won't happen again. Over and over and over again. And God forbid we don't want our kids to eat. God forbid we don't want our kids to eat what they want to eat, right? Those things change if you can stick to it. And if you can't stick to your own playbook, then make sure they do by having the playbook written out right there in front of them. Right there. There it is. Those are them. Go back to your playbook. I'm not looking to fight with you. Honey, I love you. Just need you to do the right thing. Let's live by the rules that we agreed upon. No, Mom, we didn't agree upon that. Really? Well, maybe you didn't agree upon it, but you're living under this roof and not contributing. So at this point, you have agreed upon it. That's how I would say. That's how I would stick to it. Your whole family's going away and you feel guilty because you're not inviting the kid that's living under your roof, that has mental illness issues, that is in and out of rehabs, and you feel bad. No, nope. Until they get their life together, that is not your responsibility. And it's not for you to feel bad. And you go on with your lives. until they are ready to work on their own and launching their life. Because, put it this way, if they're not, then they're probably going to be back in rehab again. If they're not seeing therapists, they're probably going to be back in rehab again because they haven't solved anything. They haven't resolved anything on them. So I hope this has helped. Again, there's no right or wrong. And trust me, we all have caved in over and over and over again. These are just things, little tips that I've learned along the way. And it's hard. But first, you got to realize you can't do this alone. You can't solve this. And second, there are things you could put into place, like the rules that I gave you, like sitting down and discussing those options of what the next steps could be. And don't set a limit of 3 months and then 3 months comes and he's still in the house living there with no job. That's not going to work. Sit down and say, I can't get you a job. It's not my job to get you a job. As much as I'd want to do all these things for you, you're so capable. So again, I came up with an idea. Just let's talk about some things, and maybe this way of putting some lists together, and we could brainstorm might help. And it would make me feel good to help you, and maybe it would make you think about things that you haven't thought about yet. And then you would take it from there. And here are some numbers of some coaches. I thought that would be a great idea to help, but that's where this help stops. That's what I would do today. I'm not saying I did that 15 years ago. I would do that today. And also my kid wouldn't be living under my house, under my roof, and I would never ask if he wants to come on a vacation at that point, and I would not be giving any credit cards. I'd probably still be hiding credit cards, and I'd be hiding my money and my things and not trusting, because it's very hard to go back and trust someone after they've really betrayed you for a long time. So you need to take all those things into consideration and just make sure you're safe. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in. I trust this episode brought you insight and strength, offering valuable coping strategies. Stay connected with weekly content, plus follow if you enjoyed, and be sure to journal for your own self-care.